Well, we are continuing these fun conversations of buffering at ConneXions with Lindsay and Maggie from Nex-Tech. Thank you so much. And I'm going to lift this up. Okay, best guests ever because they brought us crumble deliciousness.
We haven't even opened it yet.
I know we haven't even opened it yet.
By the way,
I want to open it and just eat it.
I always joke with people that I have no investments in crumble. It's more of an expense on my balance sheet, but one of my favorite companies, and we talked about them on main stage today too as well in terms of customer experience. So seeing the pink box right there,
it's lovely.
I could not be more excited.
Thank you both. That was lovely.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. That's a nice way to endear yourself to us for sure. So welcome to the podcast. Love to have you. Really excited to have you both. Would love to have you both just share a little bit about your background and also share a bit about Nex-Tech and kind of what makes you unique as a provider and an agency and some of the fun work you're doing in the broadband service provider space.
Sure. I can start. My name is Lindsay Brinker. I am the marketing supervisor for Nex-Tech, and so I get to oversee Nex-Tech's marketing as a company. Nex-Tech is a broadband provider in central and western Kansas, and we serve a good number of people. Broadband is definitely our main product offering, but we have TV, phone, security, and then a full suite of business services and some marketing services as an agency. I'll let Maggie dig into that a little bit deeper. I started fresh out of college at an ad agency as a graphic designer, got a graphic design degree from Fort Hays State University and worked at an agency for 7 years. And then when I came to Nex-Tech, I worked in customer sales and the marketing department as a designer, and then really got to transition over fully to the customer sales side of things and really got immersed in that side of the house and learned our products and services and our customers. And then I got the opportunity to come back to the marketing side as a supervisor and oversee those operations there. So have a pretty good, well-rounded experience at Nex-Tech so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're lucky to have Lindsay.
I love meeting another graphic designer too. So there's nothing I love to critique more than design.
Love it. Well, my name's Maggie Baskell, and I am born and raised telco. I'm third generation. My grandpa was a GM at a telco in Missouri in the 70s.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Eventually ran his own construction company. They put up telephone lines in the mountains in New Mexico and everywhere else. And my dad also worked at Nex-Tech. He was our director of operations for several years. My mom was there. My husband used to be there. So truly born and raised telco, and have now been there 20 years. So I have worked in maybe nearly every department at some point. I started when I was 16 and just kind of jumped around to whoever needed help. So customer sales, I worked community development. Back when we all had bigger directory departments, I played a role in directory and have now been on our ad agency side for about the past 4 years.
Cool. Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about the ad agency piece? Because that's definitely a bit unique. You know, as you mentioned, Lizzie, you guys are a provider, delivering services into Kansas, but talk to us a little bit more about the ad agency piece.
Yeah, sure will. It's been so cool to watch this grow. It was probably about 10 years ago. It sort of started as a grassroots effort. We've had a robust marketing department for many, many years. And just sort of had some neighbor BSPs that said, hey, we saw you did such and such, or can you help us with something? Or do you have ideas or thoughts? And it just really got the gears turning that, hey, could we actually do this? And so we have just watched this thing bloom from that, real extreme infancy stage, and now have about 30 people on 32. The ad agency side. Yeah, 32. Wow. On the ad agency side. We're full service. One of the things that I love speaking about, well, really two, is it's really cool because obviously the BSPs are our bread and butter. We do serve a few other industries with the ad agency side, but being able to share how we walk in your shoes, which is the theme of our booth. And I
did notice the matching shoes.
We
today,
do
so
have matching shoes.
We didn't even do that.
I know. It's a bad job by us. We do have the matching boxes, so we got that.
From the people with matching shoes.
Only feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really it's kind of our elevator pitch, right? We do it. We're in the middle of many fiber builds right now. We're a huge Calix customer. And now partner on the go-to-market side. And it's been a beautiful relationship in all of those ways. So we work with a ton of different broadband service providers that are also Calix customers, and get to see that from all angles. So that's been really neat. But really the other part that is a lot of fun to talk to people about is, the telco way, or now the broadband service provider way, is how many hats can you wear? And so, we might have a CFO that comes to us that says, they put me in charge of marketing. Oh my gosh, I know numbers. I don't know this marketing thing. How can you help me?
Accountants always the best marketers.
Yeah,
As a former accountant.
Isn't it? What's the minimum budget, right? For that?
Yeah, exactly.
True. So true. But then we end up, playing all of those roles on the marketing side, whether it's web, video, digital, print, the whole strategy. But then we also have those clients that come to us that say, hey, we just need a graphic designer. How can we partner together so that we can just fill in the gaps that we have here? So there's multiple ways we can come together and solve whatever those problems might be.
Yeah, it's a common issue or challenge that we see with a lot of the rural providers that we work with. Is, you mentioned it, Lindsay, a lot of people wearing multiple hats. We see this so frequently. Or marketing. I would love to see more investment in the marketing space in our industry, more people, more resources being thrown at the marketing organizations. But it's oftentimes a struggle, and being able to lean on an agency for that expertise can be really helpful also, if you're not necessarily willing to bring those experts in-house. And this stuff changes so frequently too.
That is so true. In fact, I was just talking to somebody that came by our booth, and they had been dabbling in digital marketing, and they thought, hey, we can do this. We can place Google ads. And they were so frustrated because they said the second they learned something and started to implement it, something had changed. And they said, we just need somebody that's certified in Google or Facebook or some of these big players on that digital marketing side of the world. And that's exactly what we can bring to the table.
And that's something we hear a lot of too, Gabe. I don't know if you hear this as much now, but the second someone's familiar with running things like ads on Meta, the platform changes, they change the targeting options. This was one we saw a few years ago, Gabe, with Advantage Plus, and everyone kind of lost their mind, especially the fiber business, because we do have very specific regions we can serve, right? We can't do entire zip codes. We can't do, even entire neighborhoods at times. So being able to have some expertise behind that is a huge resource.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the things I know we wanted to talk about is a common challenge that we've heard from a lot of customers over the years, which is you have people moving into rural areas of the country, and there's a large national provider that they're competing with as well, or that the local provider is competing with. Even though people don't necessarily like that national provider because they have name recognition, those folks that are moving oftentimes go with that large provider. And you guys have come up with some really creative ways to, I guess, sort of insert yourself in front of that challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get to folks before they actually sign up for that national provider. Can you tell us a little bit, Lindsay, about that and how you've been able to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I really love about kind of this duality of Nex-Tech being a client and a go-to-market partner with Calix is that we get to use ourselves as the guinea pigs a lot of times. So we can try out campaigns like this and throw some ad spend at different platforms and see what works. And then we can do that for our clients if we're seeing success with that. So one of the things that we've been able to do with real estate agents in our area is to kind of partner with their reps and provide them some materials that they can give to their new home buyers when they move into an area. So it seems really simple on paper and pretty inexpensive, but we've seen a huge take rate with it. We provide to the real estate office a postcard sized mailer. On the front, it's all branded Nex-Tech and has a nice promotion on there for our internet service. And on the back is kind of a checklist of things that people need to think about when they're moving. Did you disconnect your utilities? Did you sign up for trash service? Did you tell the post office that your address has
Today
changed?
I learned.
We're educating Zach today that when you move, you actually do have to tell the post office that you're moving.
I can send you a card, Zach. So the next time that you move.
I'm going to have to see this first. Yeah, no.
Yes. So we provide that. We print them in-house and we supply them with these materials. And then we buy a gift card to a local pizza shop or a local restaurant and
fun.
Provide some Nex-Tech branded pizza cutters or wine bottle opener. It's an extra gift that they get to give their new home buyer when they close the sale on the home, but they didn't have to pony up the money for it. We're providing that for them. They can choose whether to give it to them or not. but it gives them a little extra bonus to give to their new home buyers, thank them for buying a house with them, and here's a little extra something from Nex-Tech. You should consider them when moving to town.
I love that. That's so awesome. Well, and you're supporting the local businesses in the area as well.
Absolutely.
Maybe supporting Nex-Tech customers that are the focus you can go to the pizza shop that is ordering your service or this buying your service.
Yep, we definitely choose our restaurants carefully. But I did pull some numbers before the podcast, and we've been tracking the number of kits that we've given out. And we've asked the realtor to just send us the address of those customers that they've sold homes to, and 82% of them have chosen Nex-Tech as their internet provider.
Wow, that's insane.
And it costs us about $30 to $35 per kit that we send out.
Wow.
So
that's cheap customer acquisition costs for sure.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's been great.
Oh, that's a crazy percentage.
Yes.
The other thing you mentioned was a little bit on the digital side and creative ways that you're doing this as well. Could you talk to us about, that? I love that like guerrilla, kind of grassroots piece of this, but can you talk to us a little bit about the digital part of this too?
Yes, I'm going to pull up my phone.
Okay.
So excuse me for having this here, but I asked one of our digital marketing specialists to send me some of the categories that you can target Amazon ads to. So this is a new ad platform that we've been dabbling in and running some campaigns. And if you run ads on Amazon, and they'll serve all over the place. You can do video ads that show up on streaming services. You can do display ads that show up online. You can target people that have recently moved. You can target new pet owners. You can target recent movers, new home buyers, traveling soon. Amazon knows if we're buying moving boxes. They know if you're buying silverware for the first time. They track all of these things. And so you can catch those people and serve them up digital ads for things they might not be thinking of yet. They're thinking of, what's the new welcome mat I'm going to order for my new house, but they haven't maybe thought about who's their internet provider is going to be. So we've definitely been using some of those new digital methods to reach them.
It's really smart. Cool new platform to dig into. I had a colleague tell me that there's been research that people actually change their address on Amazon before they change their address with the post office. Man, you still have to do that.
My Amazon account's up to date. Yeah, well, it's funny
so
too, because expanding on this conversation too, Gabe, a couple of weeks ago we did a podcast episode and we talked about how Meta was going to enable their AI engine to basically ingest information it knows to serve ads or to curate responses a little bit too. So in the future, I think that's going to be a very important platform too, not just Meta, but other AI engines as well. And I think of Google as this. Gabe and I did episodes of what does the internet know about me in general?
Sure.
Because when it comes to personalized ads, Gabe and I are pretty similar, but also very different. So the ads he sees are not the generic ads that I want to see, and he probably doesn't want to see the gaming ads, the Battlefield ads, so on. But then again, what we type into Google, what we type into Gemini, then using that to in the future target our customers, target our prospects is just going to be an extension of, hey, here's this data we know about you. And I always ask the question, would you rather see a generic ad that applies to anyone, or maybe not you, or would you rather see something personalized? I get a lot of Crumble ads. I'm happy.
I think we know why.
I'm happy with that. You might know why. But again, I would much rather see a Crumble ad than, really anything else.
And finding people where they're at. And I think, the other platform that we wanted to bring up was Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one that we have. It's also pretty fresh. We've also just kind of started playing there. One of the unique situations that we had, similar to what Gabe was just explaining, with people that are moving and maybe not knowing who is the provider that's in that area, but also one of our clients, they are serving customers in a bedroom community to a fairly large city. And so when people come to their area, they're just moving their services because that competitor offers services in both places where my client is only in that bedroom community. So they don't even look, they just move their services. So we're finding that Zillow is a nice opportune time for just brand awareness.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to track, what that conversion rate actually looks like.
Yeah.
But we can see clicks. It's also difficult because they're not maybe there for the purpose of seeing this.
Yes.
But they're seeing it, right? They psychologically, they're seeing that logo. It's making them maybe think twice, like, hey, I did see somebody else here. Maybe I should look into that. There could be other options, because it's really hard to kind of infiltrate that when they're just moving their services and not even looking at all.
For
So
sure.
that's one of the things we've been really excited to play with from a brand awareness perspective.
So a lot to be said for mere exposure effect. And
Yeah.
there's a reason Coke spends like $9 billion a year on advertising. So
Exactly.
when you think about a soda, you go get a Coke,
Exactly.
right? So
Gabe,
Yeah.
did you come to my presentation a couple days ago?
I did not
So
actually. Sorry.
I talked about Coke and I talked about data. I love talking about data. But one of the things I found, I was specifically talking about the freestyle machines, right? These internet-connected machines that as consumers, we can personalize our drinks, but as marketers, we understand consumer behavior. What are people buying? When are they buying it? What time of the day? But one of the things we found with these machines is Coke. I was on like Coke's like deep in their website, like where you would buy one of these or lease them, and they had a whole like financial deck in it. They found that I think it was between 5 to 10 consumers would pay 5 to 10% more for a soda from a freestyle machine that they could personalize.
Interesting.
Than just a I don't want to say like a dumb fountain drink, but
a generic drink.
We talk about the dumb pipe provider at Calix so much. That's how I compared it. But yeah, just interesting to see consumers will pay more for that personalized experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very interesting.
I get that. Yeah.
Well, as we kind of wrap up here, I'd love to, we've been in ConneXions. We're getting ready to kind of wrap things up here. I think all of us are probably tired and ready for our own beds. Maybe that's just me. But love to hear like takeaways. What are you all thinking about as you go back and get into your day to day? Maybe get a takeaway from both of you.
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah. I'm going to lean into the smart MDU, and we just had a kind of a deep dive session there to learn a little bit more about that. And I kind of think it plays into this as well. You're trying to catch those home buyers, people moving in. How can we streamline that process and make it as easy as possible for them to choose you as their provider and to sign up for that provider? And so I'm excited to see where that goes and to kind of dig a little bit deeper into that as far as the kind of the auto provisioning part of that. So when they sign up, they automatically get them into that funnel, get them the app on their phone, and they can manage their own service without really ever having to talk to the service provider, and it just works when they move in. So I'm excited to see what comes with that and how we can integrate that into this kind of campaign.
Yeah, I thought some of the stats that were thrown around this morning on the stage around the MDU market was very interesting around not only the percentage of people that live in an MDU, which I think was 30%, if I remember correctly, in the U.S., but the percentage that move on an annual basis, or the average tenure, which is quite short. I mean, shoot, you've moved multiple times in the last like 12 to 18 months. I mean, it's that it's a much more transient group, right? Mm-hmm. So to your point, making it easy for them to sign up and meeting them where they are. Generally going to be younger people, not to totally stereotype, but people who are maybe a little bit earlier in their lives living in an MDU. They want to be approached in a technology in a digitally native way, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. So. What's kind of exciting too, and I think kind of where we'll see the smart MDU evolve in our territory, we don't see a whole lot of high-rise apartments or huge chunks of apartment buildings, but the MDU option will also work for property owners that own a ton of duplexes, fourplexes, and they're spread across town, and we can still kind of treat that like an MDU and make that a seamless experience. So that's exciting.
The EV charging example, that one just keeps coming back to me because I've been fighting my landlord on this one, or my company on this one. But even like
Zach just wants to run a big long extension cord.
But the networking too. Like the last place you think of needing networking capabilities is in your home garage, let alone an apartment or an MDU garage. So the use case there, resonates with me, I guess. But
sure.
I'll be very excited if I can get Wi-Fi down in my garage and electricity at the same time. But how about you? Takeaways from ConneXions?
I'll take it from the vendor perspective because that's where I've spent a bulk of my time was in the showcase, and it has been fantastic. So thank you for the opportunity to be able to showcase ourselves. Twofold. One, seeing clients we already have has been amazing. I've gotten to connect and see people in person that is normally just that Teams call. So that's been a lot of fun. But also the number of new people that we have had the chance to spend a lot of time with, get to know their companies, get to understand, what their current struggles are, how we can maybe come together and be of benefit. And what a cool role for Calix to play that conduit to bring people together. And I think together was really the theme of that first opening session and just how true that is. So thank you.
I was talking to somebody last week on a podcast about, the kind of shift in what's happened with ConneXions over the years. And I've been coming to ConneXions for a long time. I've been with Calix a long time, but it has been interesting to see the shift from vendor-focused event, and obviously it's still a Calix show. We talk about our stuff, we talk about the new things that are coming, but the partners that come, like you all, are a huge part of what we do, what this event has become. And so thank you. We really appreciate your partnership, both on the provider side as well as on the partner side. We literally couldn't do it without you, but it is so great to see this become much more of an industry event where industry people get together. We work in a wonderful industry. It's what's kept me in it for so long is the great people that we all get to work with and how supportive everybody is. Generally, people aren't competing with each other for the most part. Sometimes we have a little overlap and it gets a little weird, but for the most part, right, people are not competing with each other. So they're very willing to share what's working, what's not. Some of the best practices that you talked about today, Lindsay, these are conversations that just happen frequently in our industry. And I love that part of it. It does feel really great.
Yeah, agreed. It really does.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure I'll see you next year at ConneXions as well.
Yes, absolutely.
All right,
Thank you both
thank you.
for having us.